welcome to a new episode of the Hurdy Gurdy Cafe podcast with Noel. And today we have a very special guest, Jaap Brand. Hello, Jaap. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to be here.
Fantastic. Noel, do you want to introduce our friend today?
I would love to.
That's it.
So our guest today, I know, right? Our guest today is Yap Brandt, Dutch hurdy-gurdy maker superstar.
Wow.
He's the man behind, I know. It's true though. He's the man behind the popular nerdy-gurdy instrument builds and kits. Jaap has a master's degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Twente. During his studies there, he started a ball folk band called the Gonagals. Together with his friends, they toured around Holland, Germany, Belgium, France, and that's how he came in contact with the hurdy-gurdy. And then, of course, he discovered the common problem: how does one attain an affordable instrument? Fast forward to 2013, where after discovering a friend with a laser cutter, he thought, why not make the whole thing with laser cut parts? And the rest, of course, is history. Since then, he's had a lot of feedback from players and teachers on the instrument, certainly from Sergio and me now too. And demand for the instrument has become so high that during the summer of 2023, he decided to quit his engineering job and his position as university research fellow and focus full-time on the demand and developing his other ideas. For him, the hurdy-gurdy brings together all of his passions: engineering and music, melody and rhythm, and a sense of community and international collaboration. His goal is to enable as many people as possible to learn this instrument. And from myself and Sergio and all of our little students, we can't thank you enough. Jaap, welcome to the Hurdy Gurdy Cafe. It's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
That was a nice introduction, Jaap?
Yeah, absolutely. Staring, and it's cool to be here that you guys are doing this and spreading the gospel.
It's true. So let's start with like when you first discovered the hurdy-gurdy. So you were playing in that band, Gonagals.
Yeah.
It was a ball folk band. What was your instrument in that band? And then like, where did you hear the hurdy-gurdy and like what happened?
I started off on guitar, I think, and then I took over percussion at some point, and a friend started playing guitar, and I played the diatonic button accordion as well. And I played that very enthusiastically for many years, before being completely converted to hurdy-gurdy. And so first, I'm not quite sure. One of the first people might be Marcus Wesselow, actually.
Oh, really?
From Hurdy-gurdy. We used to play together. They were from the Hamburg area. Mm-hmm. And I live in quite close to the German border, so we would play concerts together. And so they had, of course, hurdy-gurdy and bagpipes. We played at his wedding, actually, at that time, even.
Oh wow!
So he may be the first person. He was definitely one of the first like engineers that I knew who was into hurdy-gurdy, and shared his love of the technical side of the instrument and how music and technology come together there. So I that definitely sparked my interest there.
That's amazing. Actually, of course, this is the proper instrument for engineers, because it has like a lot of mechanical problems and a lot of movable and adjustable parts, a lot of geometry. So it is great to have engineers, no, like building.
And it seems to be.
Yeah.
It seems to be quite common even. I mean, so earlier I was thinking like, okay, I'm not classically trained as an instrument builder. But there's quite a lot of hurdy-gurdy builders with a technical background, isn't there?
Yes, Wolfgang, also Chris Eaton, no? He was an engineer.
Sam Palmer as well.
Sam Palmer and Cesar Loureiro had a degree in some kind of engineering for ships, if I am not mistaken. He will tell us when he comes. But yes, it's actually the perfect instrument for an engineer, no? Because there are lots of problems to solve. And you, Jaap, you solved one of the problems that all of the hurdy-gurdy people had, no, which is availability, no, like we before nerdy-gurdy, We can say BN, no? Before nerdy.
BNG.
BNG, no? BNG, before Nerdy Gurdy, you had to wait like, 2 years for an instrument, plus you would have to pay like, I don't know, a minimum of $2,000 maybe. And so you come with this idea. How does the idea of Nerdy Gurdy come to you, no? How was it?
Yeah.
Well, it started with solving my own problem, of course, because I wanted to have one. I had a hard time convincing my wife that I needed one, which I'm sure is quite familiar to other people as well. So then I decided, I'd been building some instruments before, like cajons mostly, so quite simple, but I was played my own cajon. So then I was like, okay, let me try this.
It's a big leap going from drum.
Yeah, it's a big, well, that's a big leap from instruments. Yes, but so I've been working for 20 years.
Racing to like holding a Ferrari, but okay.
Well, my first build was not a Ferrari at all. Right? Of course, so I've been working for 20 years designing high-tech equipment for chip production, for example, these kinds of machines. And a large part of my work was always about manufacturability, so helping companies from all over the world, a lot of Silicon Valley companies as well, on how to redesign equipment so that it's easier to make the parts, easier to assemble, easier to adjust, to maintain, all these kinds of things. Working for
probably cost reduction for assembly line stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. So of course that's how I look at everything, and that's how I also look at the Hurdy Gurdy, of course. So okay, now I want to build one. And I've always worked with woods, but I'm definitely not such a skilled artisan. But hey, I have this laser cutter, and later 3D printers. Those are really cool as well. Those really have developed in the last 12, 15 years as well. And with those techniques, I try to reinvent the functionality. So not from what's the traditional way of making instruments, but what are the functions that the instrument needs to perform? Between this point and this point, you need to have high accuracy, and between this point and this point, you need a good stiffness. And basically starting from those principles, trying to design something that would be playable as a hurdy-gurdy. That's what the initial goal was. Something that is playable. I didn't mind so much yet that it would not sound as good, but I wanted to perform and to be something that I could practice on.
When you first started looking into it, did you use any plans that were already available, or did you like research any older instruments and go from that model, or like how did you come about your own concept?
I only looked at pictures actually. I looked at pictures of various instruments, traditional instruments. I had an instrument on loan from the Dutch Hurdy Gurdy and Bagpipe Association for a short while. So I took some beginners lessons. It's a brilliant organization. They have a lot of their own instruments. They give courses, so a lot of people can have access to learning the instrument through them. And so based on that, I tried to re-engineer basically the instrument, and then it's a big puzzle. Engineering is always a big solving puzzles, and especially so taking the parts of a traditional instrument and then trying to make them with a different technology of laser cutting. In the beginning, everything was laser cutting. Something that's 3D needs to become flat. And so that was a very, very interesting experience in itself. And then so my first build was this hybrid instrument. So I had this idea of making the melody strings acoustic, but I wanted to play in any key. So I thought, okay, I'll make the drone and the trumpets. I'll do those digitally. So I had like 2 Arduinos in there and an encoder and trying to do the electronic parts. And the electronic part was actually, that worked quite well.
Okay.
But the acoustic sound was just so dreadful.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay. Now I need to build something acoustic first now, and then get that to work, and then maybe I'll return to the hybrid part later.
Yeah.
And I'm still in that phase.
So, yeah, how many prototypes did you have to build for you to get your first acoustically playable Gurdy? Do you remember that?
Well, not even that many to be actually.
Oh, you got it right.
In terms of playable, yeah. So I think the second one was playable. The thing is, I think if I take up the like my first prototype now, and then adjust it properly, it will sound much better than it sounded back then. Because, well, of course I don't have to explain that here, but just
maybe we have to
setting
explain
up
it
the
here,
instrument
but
is such a big part.
That's it, right? Like basically, guys, no matter if you have the highest end Gurdy in the planet, like no matter if you spend 20,000-30,000 euros on an instrument, if you don't know how to adjust it properly, it's going to sound like hell, no? And this of course, it's one of the main problems in the beginning. Even coming from an engineering background, you had to little by little understand the adjustment part of the instrument, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I remember really well.
That's one of the advantages too of like being able to have an instrument that you also can sell as parts and that you're putting together, because in doing that you can learn a lot about the instrument basics, and I think that that's also another advantage, so.
I remember the first time. So I took my one of my first earlier instruments to a festival, and Scott Marshall was there, and Nicholas Cox-Sims. They started trying it out and gave me feedback, and one of them was like, "Oh, your trumpet string should be a bit closer to the head. Maybe you should file a notch there." I'm like, I don't have a file, and they're like, "Oh, I have a file." And like all these people were taking out their toolboxes, and like all these tools come out, and like, "Wow, this is unique. This is the only instrument that I know where it's normal to actually just file on your instrument."
Yeah.
So brilliant.
Like
Can you
slapping
imagine
stuff
that?
on
Like,
the soundboard or doing whatever. It's like, could you imagine like doing that on the piano?
I know, exactly.
Can you imagine like some high violin soloist, no, with a Stradivarius? Oh wait, I will file the bridge. Give me a second.
File the tuning peg down. Don't touch the tuning peg.
That's so crazy. Okay, so you bring the instrument to the festival with some players, and they tell you, okay, let's adjust these things. And how was the first feedback?
Very encouraging. My expectation. So of course there were some people who were like, why would you build a laser cut instrument? And it's made of plywood. There was some of that, but actually much less than I was expecting. Everybody was very encouraging, so, like for example, at one point I presented it. I had the chance to present it on stage again at the Dutch Bagpipe and Hurdy Gurdy Association. They have they have a yearly workshop weekend. Oh, you're teaching there next week, Sergio.
I am teaching there. Yes.
Yes. So Menno, who's together with his wife, the big organizers. He asked me like, "Do you want to present it?" And I was like, "Okay, maybe I will do that."
On the spot.
And I went on stage and I talked about it, and I just put it openly on the table. So this is what it is, and it's not brilliant yet, but it works. Kind of, I think so, and I'm really interested in learning how I can improve it. And after that, a lot of people came to me, and I really remember one guy who came up to me and said, like, I really expected this. Oh, I expected this cannot be anything, but it is something.
Whoa.
And that was really encouraging for me. And I guess that's a lot of the reactions have been like that. Really constructive people saying this can be improved and this can be improved. And yeah, that's amazing. And whenever there was any negativity, that's the word I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's really from passion. I can see that. It's because people are so passionate about the instrument, about how it should sound, how it should feel. In some cases, also how it should traditionally be, of course, especially for certain kinds of music or from certain regions. That there's the way that the instrument is built is very much part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, part of the sound.
But it's always from passion. That's what I notice all the time.
Yeah. And it's great that like whenever you're taking that information, you're using it to improve the instrument. And I think that's why
Yes, this is one
gotten
of
so
the
much better over
problems of many new makers, no? That they get like so protective and they don't take feedback seriously, no? They say they just feel attacked, no? And they should take it more as a constructive thing, no?
Yeah. Constructive criticism.
Exactly.
It's like, teacher to student, it's like we have to correct our students or else they can't get any better.
Yeah.
So like for you, Yap, when was the time, at what point did you say, okay, this is no longer really a hobby. This is something that, I want to take serious as a business. And like, when did that occur and how did your family handle that?
Conversation. No, I am quitting my job because, like, did you get drowned in orders? Or was it like a instant boom, or was it increasing? How I am curious.
No, well, the thing is, so while I was doing it next to my job, my wife was actually running the business. So it all started, and I forgot what year. I probably need to check your website, Noel.
To 2013.
Something like that. Yeah.
Noel knows everything. Yes.
So when I forget things, I look at your website to see like how was it again. But so anyway, so it all started so I'd been thinking about sharing what I had for some time, but I was always a bit shy about it. And then I was Friday night. I was having beers with my friend Edwin, who was the owner of the laser cutter, and who came up with the name Hurdy Gurdy as well, actually.
Oh.
We have him to thank.
And so we were having beers, and after quite a few beers, I had enough courage to put something on Facebook, which I did like 11 in the evening or something, like 12 at night. It's like okay. Like
And then I remember that moment. I was like,
yeah, really,
what the fuck is this? Oh my god!
So I went to bed, and I woke up next morning, and I opened my mailbox, and it was like,
No.
Yeah, my mailbox just exploded. There were so many reactions. And I was like, oh my god, what do I do with this? Is there somebody who wants to take this from me? And because I don't, this is nothing for me. And there's no entrepreneurs in my family, there's no experience on how to do that.
But you're Dutch.
Yes, I'm Dutch.
That's like, I thought that was like the whole thing of being Dutch was being like either a banker or an entrepreneur.
That's interesting. An interesting view. No, well, not in my experience at least.
All right. Okay.
But so anyway, so we talked about it for a while, and it turned out. So my wife, she didn't have a job at the time. We have 4 kids together, and she spent a lot of time raising the kids, and they were just getting to an age that she had some time on her hands, and they were like, okay, maybe Faye, my wife, maybe she wanted to take this up. And that's how it started. So because after Christmas, we talked it over a lot over Christmas, and after Christmas we went to register a company, and then she started.
You just. She said, "I'll do this."
Yes, yeah, yeah.
We
And
have,
so
we have
she
a lot to
started.
thank her for then.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's been brilliant together. So in the beginning, so she still does all the contact with with customers, answering the emails, which is quite a task. Sorry, people, if we're a bit slow sometimes. We do our best, um, and she still does all of that, and then the financials and things like that. And then next to my regular job, I just kept redesigning and building from now and then, and thinking up new ideas, and also supporting her like in what my regular job was, which is like production engineering, designing tools to make production easier, organizing the supply chain, things like that. And that has kept that is still our division, which is brilliant because now since I left my regular job, I just have the dream job. It's just brilliant.
Wow.
I can focus all day on my hobby. I have this uncomfortable feeling the last few months. And I was like I'm not sure what this is, and I realized that the feeling is because I have the idea that I have the last 9 months holiday. I was like, is it time to go to work again? Oh wait, I am working. This is my work now, and that's fantastic. I
What a
love that.
feeling, eh?
It's
That's
brilliant,
fun. That's good. That's good.
and it's so rewarding because um, we keep getting like these emails of, well, like you said, there was this big need. A lot of people who are really desperate to get to get their hands on an instrument. So we have a lot of people from that group as well who are very happy, and they send us emails like, "Oh, I'm so happy! I've always wanted to be able to play Hurdy Gurdy, and now I can, and thank you so much." And then, of course, a lot of people are building their own,
Yeah.
and that's such a magical feeling. Still, I still have that. It's such a magical feeling to build your own instrument. Start with some parts on the table, put it together, put strings on, and then music comes
And it
out.
actually works. That's great.
And it actually works, yeah. And it's such a great
Well,
feeling. So
and it definitely goes to like, again, it's like I have like, so one of my students, got the kit. He's an engineer. He built it. And in just doing that process, he now knows much more about how to adjust the instrument, how to control the instrument, how to deal with issues with the instrument, much more than if, say, for instance, I have a student that bought, a very expensive, nice instrument that arrives, and then they don't know what to do if,
And they're afraid also, no? Because when
and
you
they're,
spend a lot of money on an instrument, especially if you're not experienced with music and other instruments, like you are kind of like, I'm afraid I spent just like $6,000, $7,000, and I'm going to break it if I raise the bridge or something. While if you get a kit and it's it's not so expensive and you have to build everything, you have the feeling of, okay, just let's do this, do that, file here, which is exactly what you will get eventually later when you know more about the instrument, no? Because everybody's like messing around with everything all the time for looking for the perfect adjustment, no? So that's another great
and it's
point.
definitely like it's almost like a secondary feature of the Nerdy Gurdy is that it makes it a more friendly, accommodating, approachable instrument, so it's like you immediately don't have the fear, it's like you can actually like play and do stuff with it and really come to it and learn a lot more.
Absolutely.
So
And then
I think it's great that
this idea of the open source, no? Like how do you come up with that? It's beautiful because you created a big community from doing the open source thing. Of course, sometimes it comes with a small bad things that we can talk about as well. But how does it come? No, the idea of making it open source to make the plans and the 3D STLs available for everybody. So you can basically, if you have some laser cutter and 3D printer, you can do it yourself, no? Like for zero money.
So one big example for me has always been the 3D printer companies. And there's a Dutch company called Ultimaker, who are one of the pioneers of the 3D printers. And that community had this very high as a very important part of the community. And what I saw with those companies like Ultimaker is that it's possible to be commercially successful, to build a company while still being sharing what you do. And it doesn't take away any of your activities. And I found that very inspiring. So they had all their software open source. A lot of their hardware was open source. There was a big community contributing to that. They were really building the technology together. And 3D printers in general, I think it's a very fascinating technology, because it's a technology that was developed by hobbyists, by people at home. Tinkering and trying things out and doing this together in a network and sharing that online with each other. And then from that, companies started emerging, but they kept this collaboration and sharing strategy. And it just made them stronger, and it made their products better. Some people would still build their own 3D printers, but also a lot of other people would come to them to purchase one if they had not the technology at home, or and economy of scale is also something there, or even because they thought that the company deserved their contribution, And I was always I loved that dynamic. I thought it was really positive for really bringing something.
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah. And of course, then it happens that the community by itself starts connecting with each other, and then they create this amazing Facebook group, the Hurdy Gurdy Builders Group, which is actually not controlled by the company. It's just community based, and
absolutely, yeah,
it popped, and so everybody is helping each other, and even redesigning little things here and there, mods, different decorations, different finishes, lacquers, paints, like a lot of discussion, which it only makes the project richer in a way. That's
absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
that's fantastic. It's true that sometimes there are some people that they don't. I don't know how to explain this. Maybe Noel, you can help me. But there are some people that take advantage, of these open source things, and sometimes they steal the ideas, steal these things, to sell them.
In the open source software community.
So. Yeah. And how was the experience with that? Yeah, is it a big thing, or just sometimes, or?
It's only from certain aspects. We don't mind so much commercially. That we're not in this for to get rich or something like that. It's really nice that now I can focus full time on this. Mm-hmm. But for the rest, so it's the biggest problem that we have is when people are getting scammed, Like when somebody's selling Hurdy Gurdy for a large amount of money, and then saying, "Oh, this is made from specially dried woods."
What?
Yeah, really.
Did that
And
happen for real? Like,
that absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And then and things like and claiming that they designed it themselves and think that things like that's annoying. But more because that hurts the people who are looking for it, than that it hurts us. It's just it grates on me, but for those reasons.
mm-hmm.
For the rest, I mean, I love when people are building them. I know there's also other people who have who like some teaching organizations who make their own mods to build with their students. I think that's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
Because that's serving the same goals that we are serving. But so if people take it and use it for greedy purposes to take advantage of other people, then that's something I really dislike.
Yeah.
But that's for the rest, I don't care.
So I had a question about, because I know you're doing the nickel harpas now too.
Yes.
So when did that idea hit you, and where did that all come from?
I think it came from the community. So it was people. The name Nerdy Harpa was already a thing before I even started designing it.
Okay. Of course, because people are like, "Hey, I want a nerdy harpa. Nerdy Gurdy is so cool. I want a nerdy harpa. Let's do the nerdy harpa." And you're like, "Okay." Like, by the way, this is a new podcast, Nerdy Harpa Podcast Cafe Podcast. Why are we talking about nickel harpas? I don't understand. But let's do it, guys. You are our brothers. Yes, guys. Come on. Cousins. Not brothers is too close, no? You are right. Like, we like you, but space, a little bit of space between us. Tell us about the nerdy harpa. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for like the nerdy accordion.
No. Wait a second. Yap. When I was at your place some months ago, you told me a lot of things about other nerdy possibilities. So
let's not talk about that, because
I will not talk about that.
We get too many emails again.
People just start talking about nerdy accordion, nerdy, I don't know, nerdy flutes, nerdy grand piano, maybe.
I don't think you can laser cut the flute.
No, right.
But so to answer,
although maybe go back to the fact that when you were talking about digital or electronic, I'm interested to know if that's still on the back burner, or if you're thinking about implementing that with more of your ideas in the future. Because I know you've got a couple of different things that are kind of coming on. So.
Well, of course, I'm collaborating with John Dingley on the DigiGurdy. That's well known. For the rest, I don't want to make too many statements either to save our mailbox.
Okay.
No,
withhold information until later.
At some point, so it started with a hybrid instrument, and at some point there will be a hybrid instrument again. But at least because that's something that I want to have myself. Because
it was the first idea, if you remember.
It was the first idea, exactly. Yeah.
It will be beautiful. So then we start with the first prototypes, the first model and everything. And one day you decide, like, okay, let's redesign this and actually have a second model. which would be the basic, no? How
Oh
did
yeah,
the basic come to life? It was just like you are redesigning and always thinking about how can we tweak this to make it better. What's the story about it?
Well, it started with the harpa actually,
Oh,
because I designed the harpa, and then when I played it the first time, it's like, oh my god, this sounds so much better than my hurdy-gurdies.
oh, okay.
And I completely fell in love with it. Like, oh, this is brilliant. Okay, now I'm going to play Nickel harpa.
Let's quit Gurdy.
Exactly.
Nickel harpa sounds better. Just
Exactly. I was just playing nickel harpa at home, and I took nickel harpa lessons. Like, oh, this is the thing.
oh my god.
And then I was like,
Why?
but I get back. I've converted again.
Okay, good.
Because then I was like, okay, if this is possible, so the technology allows this sound to come out. That was what I learned there. I learned it's the same technology. It's the same wood I'm using, the same manufacturing methods, and it sounds like this. So that's also possible with Hurdy Gurdy.
Of course.
And then
When you
yeah.
wood, though, because you've talked about this a couple times, yeah. Like, were there, like, what was your ideas behind like what types of wood you were going to be using and sound construction and all that? So, like, where did that change? Where did that come from?
From my cajons, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. No, really, because when I was building my cajons, which I built out of plywood, which was quite regular for them, I tried out a lot of different woods, and I noticed that birch plywood actually had quite a nice ring, quite a good sustain, much better sounds than other types of plywoods. So then when I started designing a hurdy-gurdy, I was like, okay, if I use that kind of plywood, then at least it will. I should have those same properties carrying over. And in the beginning, that was just whatever was available on the market. So these days we have a very nice collaboration with a Dutch company who do most of the laser cutting for us.
Mm-hmm.
And through them, we have a special supplier in Scandinavia who make custom birch plywood with extra high quality that you can laser cut very well and things like that. So we've also improved there together with them. But the first insight into what would be possible was actually from those first cajons, indeed. Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very good. So then you were talking about the beginning of the basic, no? So you were playing the nickel harpa, the nerdy harpa. You're like, wow, we have to implement this discoveries, this technology in the Gurdy, right?
Yeah, two things. So one was indeed the realization that a much better sound was possible.
Okay.
And the other one was the desire to have something that was much easier to build still, because we had there was other builders coming on the market, or at least convincing customers that they would be coming on the market.
I know.
So with a lot of people apparently still looking for a finished instrument would be affordable, which was something that at that time we could not offer. So I wanted to design something that took a lot less hours to assemble,
Mm-hmm.
so that it would be economically feasible to offer finished instruments for a beginner's price, and that's. So from the original hurdy-gurdy to the basic, I tried to redesign everything in such a way that reduce the number of parts, reduce the number of assembly steps, to make everything as fast and as straightforward as possible. Also with everything that I learned before and also that I learned from the community integrated into that. And that became the Hurdy Gurdy basic. And then we found Sanne van Gent joined our team to build instruments for us. And then we started to be able to also meet a little bit of the demand of finished instruments.
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah.
And now we have and Jimmy Helliger, of course, as well, helping Sanne. And now we have Adriana Borger helping us as well with the Linottes. So
fantastic. That's great.
Starting to become a very nice team.
What do you think is the most challenging part of the Gurdy in terms of engineering or in terms of building the kits?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes. So my question is, what do you think is the most challenging engineering aspect of the design of the Gurdys in general? Not specifically the Hurdy Gurdy, but
I know from building it which of
you know also.
Fucking wheel.
Can we talk about wheels? What's going on with the wheels? The wheel is for us, at least for Noel, for me, for everybody building, like this is the crucial step, because if your wheel is crooked, we are doomed, right? Like it's not going to work, no? Or I don't know, maybe
if it's eccentric, especially, yeah.
If it's eccentric, If it's eccentric, I don't even know what eccentric is.
Oh, so like not round.
No, oh yeah, okay, not round. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, do you agree with us? Because we were looking at each other, no, Noel and I, like it's the wheel. Say wheel. Maybe you were thinking about other aspects, like more deep and.
Well, I am fascinated by the buzzing bridge.
Oh, okay. Let's open this melon. Yes.
But so of course, so one of the hard parts of Hurdy Gurdy is the fact that you cannot change the pressure on the string while playing. Yeah?
Of course, like a bow.
Like a bow. So when you're bowing, you change the pressure. You can change the position of where you're bowing.
Of course. Yes.
And with these things, you make your sound.
I mean, this is why nickel harpa is better than Gurdy. Everybody knows. That's not true, guys. Don't go to nickel harpas, okay? Like respect. But...
No. Also play nickel harpa. It's brilliant. I love nickel harpa. It's like a violin for guitar players. It's brilliant.
That's cool. So anyway, yes, it's fixed, no? The pressure is fixed.
And that's a difficult part. So you need all these strings to have a good. All these strings need to be bowed properly, and to bow a string properly, you need to have a certain force. You need to have a certain position relative to your bridge, and relative to your finger, let's say, or your key.
Key, exactly.
And also that you cannot change. So when you're bowing a violin, you will change the position where you're bowing if you go higher or if you go lower. But also that you cannot change when you're playing a Hurdy Gurdy. So that indeed has quite a high demand on the wheel. It needs to be very round. It needs to be stay where it is, and the position needs to be correct. And there's also some interesting dynamic effects that I am still studying. Like what does the stiffness of the wheel mounting contribute to the whole dynamic performance of the instruments? Things like that. And without that brings me back to the buzzing bridge, I guess.
Okay.
So, like you said, my background is in engineering. I come to sound from the other side. So I've always worked on preventing vibration, on reducing acoustic noise of machines and things like that. and I've always worked on trying to understand if you have a positioning stage in like a chip production machine. These need to position in nanometer or even like picometers with our 1,000th of a thousandth of a millimeter accuracy.
Wow! Oh my God!
And to do that, you need to model everything. You need to know exactly like if the ground of the building is shaking at this amplitude,
Of course.
then the
deviation.
then the place will shift so much, and you calculate all of that, and everything is modeled and everything is then validated and controlled, and that's so. Of course, that's I have a big interest in that, and at some point I hope to understand a hurdy-gurdy in that respect. But that's a really big ambition and
wow,
and a big challenge. And maybe we should set up like some collaboration on that. Definitely, I know other builders are also working on that and experimenting. And like I saw this very nice, like Wolfgang Wachselbaumer, he has this really nice high-speed camera recordings of his instruments. With a very good camera, by the way. I made some recordings a few weeks ago with my friends at university here as well, but nowhere near the recording quality that they had. So I'm impressed with their camera. So I'm sure that a lot of people are actually studying these things and trying to learn and understand. So maybe we can make some kind of like a research project on hurdy-gurdy dynamics.
Here. Like, if anybody is a nerd about these aspects of the dog,
call for papers. First international conference on hurdy-gurdy dynamics.
I mean, look, there are international gatherings of cloud observers, so everything is possible. Okay.
Exactly.
Everything is possible.
We got the solar coming on Monday, and everybody's like convening in New Hampshire because of it. Crazy. Did string choice, like how did string choice affect some of your builds? And when you played on your nerdy harpa, did the strings that you were using on that affect what strings you chose on the hurdy-gurdy, or have you always like preferred sugar strings, or like where does all that fit in with your ideas?
It started from being cost effective with the strings. So I designed to have a mensure, a scale length equal to a viola, so that there would be affordable off-the-shelf strings available that I could use.
Which is an advantage.
Of course.
Yeah, because I wanted to have. So if you want to have something that's cost-effective, you need to be able to use standard parts as much as possible, and be able to use parts that are used in large numbers in our applications. So that was one of the starting points. And then after that, I've been fine-tuning based on what sounds well. So we've changed to gut strings at some point to get a fuller sound from just the nylon that we're using at the start. I like the sugar gut as well, by the way. Those are very very nice as well. They have a different timbre than the how you call that? No, the normal guts. And we use both of those still for some sets. But so these gut and synthetic gut strings are much better than what we started with, which was tennis racket, and I think lawnmower strings, something like that, you know.
This racket thing is actually the badminton racket strings are amazing. I remember the first time I tried the Yonex BG65. It's the freaking best high D I ever tried in my life. Like Yonex BG65. Please go buy.
I need to try that.
It's so beautiful. Yes.
But I love this also. So when I had this presentation at the Hurdy Gurdy and Bagpipe Association,
yes.
I told people like what strings I was using, and I was expecting people to be like, oh, what the hell are you doing, you crazy guy? but everyone was like, oh, I also use this, and I use fish wire, and is this normal?
Yes. Because it's actually, we are tinkerers. Like the instrument needs constant adjustment, constant. It's a lot of moving parts, and everything is shifting all the time. So we have to be like that. We have to tinker all the time, no? To become good with the instrument.
Things are expensive. Who wants to spend $40 on a string that's gonna like break every 5 seconds? It's crazy.
Exactly. Okay, so we have the basic, and then I guess the people keep building the older model, no? Because of the shape, because they like it better, and this leads to the creation of the linotte, right? Can you talk a little bit about this?
That's exactly what happens. I liked the basic so much better than the previous model myself. In terms of sound quality,
it was a drastic change. Like really, the basic sounded much better, no? But people
the only
by the looks, no? Sometimes
the only disadvantage is for some people was the volume.
Because it's so loud, right?
Because it's much louder. Exactly. Yeah. So it's brilliant. So I've played it at workshop, like sitting between two. Like really big high-end hurdy-gurdies. I could still hear myself play with the basic, which was definitely not true with the other one.
Success, that's great.
But then, of course, for your family and friends and neighbors,
it's not so friendly, no?
it's less friendly. Like exactly. But indeed, I was really happy with the sound of the basic myself. But I noticed that people kept buying the old model. Because they liked the extra strings, they liked the shape, and I saw people kept cutting keyholes in them, and then I was like, okay.
Stop. I'll
just try to design something which meets that's what a lot of people seem to want. Though I did not put a wheel guard on it.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually my next Gurdy by Marco, we will not have the wheel cover. I just the first thing I do with the wheel covers, sorry, traditional players, is throw them away because anyway I will lose it anyway. So just
I guess they do.
Attached to it, and you're like, I can't get rid of this thing.
I
have to
right?
I get the umbilical cord,
so... Yeah, with the 19th century Gurdys with the thing hanging, no, there. Yeah.
How did you do that back when you were playing on the streets a lot? Because I think that's probably where it comes from, right? The wheel guard is when you're playing outside in the rain, then. You need to keep your wheels dry, right?
Yes, of course. I wouldn't play when it's raining. I did not have any big problems. The only problem is when people are curious about the instrument and they are like, "Oh, is this a wheel?" and they touch it. So, but I developed because yeah, some of you don't know, but I also do magic. Sometimes I like magic tricks. And so I applied my knowledge on misdirection, okay, to prevent people from touching the wheel. So what you have to do is this. Oh, it's an instrument with a wheel. Open the chest. And this, I tell you, it redirects the finger straight away to touch the tangent. And then you move away.
I
You
think
got
this
the
is.
Bigfoot thing. You put the Bigfoot sticker
You
on
don't
the.
know? Look, when I was in New Hampshire the other year teaching, I was,
Oh, brilliant!
yeah, I was saying there were Bigfoots around, so I put the sticker, beware of the Bigfoot.
All plaguer.
I think this is some brilliant advice, Sergio, that everybody can benefit from.
Of course, just open the thing, and they will touch it, and then just back away like this, and just disappear. Yes. So, of course, I agree with you. No wheel covers for me, at least not for me. Yes. And then suddenly Note is created. So now we have a couple of models, and of course, the other day we presented in the podcast the how you call it, the petit Linotte, right? The small one, which of course will be very handy because look, Noel has it there.
Here, because I was.
Because one of the things that we have to do as promotion for the Hurdy Gurdy is to make kids play, you know, because our instrument, when I see the stats of my YouTube channel, yes, we need more young people, no? Because it's a thing. Like I see a gap in the middle. Like it's nowadays it's either people from, I don't know, 18 to 25 or 55 to 70, and there is a gap in, at least in the statistics of my channel.
Interesting.
There is a gap in the middle, no? So. Of course, with the years, I think it will be more unified. But of course, one of the things we have to fight for is to bring this instrument to the music schools, to make it more normal for kids to see the instrument, and of course, to adapt the instrument to the size of a kid is a brilliant idea. How did this idea come? And can you talk a little bit about the Pikachu Gurdy?
Sure. It's I think it started with so in Belgium they have a very nice music education program where they for traditional instruments as well. So bagpipe and hurdy-gurdy is taught in music schools supported by the government, and there's an organization organizing that, and they've been doing that for quite a long time. So we were asked to build 10 hurdy-gurdy basics for them a few years ago, for them to use to teach kids. Mm-hmm. So there was a nice inspiration, and then my own daughter, my third daughter, she's 10 now, but I think she was 8 around that time. She started taking hurdy-gurdy lessons from Sanne van Gent.
Wow!
Online.
Cool.
But I noticed that the instrument was still too big for her. So during the lessons, we noticed that she kept shifting the instrument to the right. Because she wanted to have her keys closer to her chest, and then of course her arm would go over there, and it would be bad her.
And then bad.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Get the wheel in the right place for their body. Or on the bigger instruments, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's where I saw that something needs to happen. And then I think it was Sanne who approached me a while later. She had been talking with Toby Miller, and they had been talking about wouldn't it be nice if there was an affordable instrument for children. And then so one and one together was like, okay, now I need to do this. And Sanne kept nagging me. It's like, okay. So then I made one, and I built the first one together with my son, who's 6 now. And that's where the Pikachu comes in, because he wanted to have a Pokemon hurdy-gurdy. So we painted it yellow, and that was the first one, and it's now in the being evaluated. Noel, you have one. I'm really interested in your experience with it, by the way, because we haven't had a chance to talk yet.
Oh, let's use the podcast for this. Amazing.
Yeah, it's been great. I have three students that are little ones, two girls that are 6 years old, and one boy that is 8 years old. And their challenge was exactly what we've been describing. Even with like what I consider like the basic hurdy-gurdy is a pretty small instrument for a hurdy-gurdy, considering like you can have, pretty large ones.
tenor,
Like
yeah.
right, and even Neil Brooks' Wren, which I was teaching on for a bit, was a pretty good size, but it still wasn't the best size for a small child. So since I've been using this in lessons, and I'm kind of good to show it on too because I'm quite small. As a person, I'm almost child size myself. But one of the things I always noticed with the traditional instruments is that, the length of the key box was far too long. The instrument was far too long for children. So you couldn't get them to sit the wheel in the proper place. And so as a result, the instrument would keep migrating. It would migrate this way because they wanted to get the keys, but then now they're over here. Then I would put the wheel back over here and then they would be out like this. And as a result, what would happen is that they could not play any basic etudes or exercises or pieces because they weren't able to coordinate the wheel with the key box simply because it was uncomfortable. And so now, because this is a smaller size, if you see on me, I'm about the size of like a 12-year-old, really, but for my 6-year-old kid, for my 6-year-olds, it's fantastic because they no longer have the issues that they've been having. So just the size of the instrument is perfect. The other thing I could talk about that's been an advantage for them is the depth of the instrument as well. So just not just the length, but how it sits and how it's kind of configured here has been really helpful. Like a lot of kids have difficulty even when they're on a chair, like being able to have their legs in the right position because they're small, right? So we have to sit them down even lower. And with the larger instruments, it would just kind of slip and fall and it was kind of ridiculous. So they can balance the instrument a lot better on their lap as well. So it becomes an instrument that kind of like when you're learning violin, for small children, quarter-size violin is great to learn on because it can fit in their hands and it can fit underneath their chin and they're all fine. It's the same thing with this instrument. Just the size itself is so much easier for them to be able to approach the instrument and play a tune on. So basically it's just the construction, the size, and the sound is actually quite refined. The father of my 6-year-old, Amelia, who is really quite good. She's going to be a character in a couple of years. That's for sure. She's
her on YouTube channel and things.
Oh my God, she is just off the wall. She's crazy. But she's really quite a good player for a 6-year-old. The father commented that because they've got a hurdy-gurdy basic now.
Okay.
That they've been using, and sometimes, like, even though my catnip is way too big for her, she likes the sound of the catnip, and the sound of it has always been attractive. But her dad's biggest comment with this instrument itself is that the sound of it is quite refined for even a beginner instrument, and so for them that creates a whole other level because when you have children's instruments, even when we talk about children's instruments for a piano. Let's say a child doesn't have a piano, their parents get them a keyboard or something. The keyboard might not have touch sensitivity. It might not have weighted action, or the piano sound might sound stupid, right? It's the same thing with any child's instrument. If it doesn't sound good, even if it's constructed okay, if it doesn't sound good, then the kid's not going to want to play on it.
Absolutely.
And this instrument sounds good. Now
it has all the features, no? It's like it's not not missing anything. This is the point. Like some small violins are missing things. Some small flutes also are missing a lot of things, and they are actually hard to play. Okay, I always, when I was working, I worked for 8 or 10 years in a music shop, and I was telling the parents this all the time. Imagine that you are a chef and you have to, you have to cut meat all day. If I give you a knife that is not sharp, your work is a nightmare, no? So with the kids, it's the same. This is a sharp knife, what you have on your lap right now, which is going to make life easier for a beginner, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with any instrument. And I think that's the shame, is that, we have a common problem in America where in public school systems, or even the private schools, when children start band, they have to rent instruments. And so a lot of the rental instruments are constructed of really poor materials. So as an example, clarinets are made out of plastic. You can't get a good tone on any note on the clarinet from a plastic clarinet. It needs to be made of resin, or it needs to be made out of wood. And it's so when you're starting as a child, you don't have to have the best instrument in the world, but you certainly have to have an instrument that sounds good and that works appropriately. And one of the other advantages with this one, over, like, say, for instance, the basic or even any of the, adult instruments, is that specifically with my kids, when they're learning, about like trying to keep time and coordination, like just the idea of like one. This dog is killer, and it works.
Yes.
And they're able to like get one and coordinate with time and with the metronome. And that's a key component of like actually being able to learn the instrument.
Responsive.
So
yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a killer dog, and the drone is pretty good. I'm still having slight amount of issues with adjusting it, but I think that I have to work a little bit more on getting the drone to adjust a little bit better. But right now, none of my kids are going to use that drone until they can like buzz appropriately. But it sounds great, and the resonance of that wood is just, it's amazing. I mean, it sounds really good. So even when we're playing in duets, I can hear my kids play, alongside me. So I don't know what your final price is going to be on it, but as long as it's affordable, I think it's going to be a killer instrument for children. And I think that's where we really need to be, is like, it needs to be an instrument that can be introduced to children as an option, not as a novelty. And that will help. So thank you.
Well, wow. Well, thanks a lot. What did you use as strap, by the way? I was wondering, because the normal guitar straps, they're just way too long for kids. In the past,
maybe ukulele or something like this.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't think of that.
Straps, is it possible? Maybe
we've been reducing the length, like taking guitar strings and making them shorter. But
okay.
So we're actually making our own leather straps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very nice.
So what I do is, whenever I have like a little student, the first thing we do is we measure them up, and then
okay.
I know, it's like it's a real. I mean, I'm serious. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it well. So then we make like little adjustable holes here. So for as they're getting it. But yeah, we just I have got a whole ton of these, and we just kind of measure up the kids, and that's what we use.
That's great.
Are you selling those, Noel?
No, but I could. But I don't, I know Sergio's got his own strap business over there too. So, but for little kids, these work really well because they're not like super, they're just thin, don't stretch too much, because it's pretty, not high quality leather, but it's not super thin leather. So for the little kids, this actually works really, really well.
Amazing.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Great.
And if any children are out there and they really do need a solution, then I can talk to you about making some straps for you, because I find the guitar straps are too, the adjustable ones, they slip, and then kids, how kids are. around with
And
stuff.
they're hard to adjust as well for kids. It's just they don't know how to do that. Yeah.
They know how to do it, and they're
It's
like
that.
and even the smallest guitar strap you have isn't going to be small enough for a kid. You know, it's still going to slip around, and nylon is slippery. Leather, at least it's got some grip. And again, with children, you know, part of teaching children is like getting them to be able to focus. And if you give them anything that they can mess around with, then they're going to start messing around with it, and then there's half your lesson, you know. So it's like just get them strapped in there and go for it. So.
And how do you deal with the rosin and the cotton and these things for the kids? Because the reason that the basic became two strings, two melody strings, is because the organization in Belgium, and I think it was Els Peters, who approached me saying, please, can we have two melody strings? Because then if I have a group of students and for one of them the cotton is not right, I can tell them to take the other string instead of having to fix the instrument on the spot. So because for children it's a big hurdle, right? How do you deal with that with the kids?
So same thing with like almost all kinds of instruments. When you have a child that's, you know, less than 10 years old, the parent has to be in the lesson, and the parent has to learn how to be the maintenance technician for the. And so every single parent is in that lesson, and every lesson, the first 5 minutes of the lesson is, okay, parent, show me your cotton and rosin. And we go through the little lesson, they do the whole thing, and they're the ones that learn it, and they become the maintenance for the child.
This is a great trick. My niece started learning clarinet, and they were at the lesson saying that, oh, I couldn't study because I didn't know how to mount the clarinet. So excuses, no excuses. If the parent is there, learn your rosin, learn your cotton, learn your pressure.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the parents are paying for the lessons, right? They have to be invested in what their child's doing, and they also, you know, like when a kid is less than 10 years old, they can't be responsible for what they should be doing every week, you know. So the parent has to be, you know, with them, and I'm lucky, at least the majority of the parents that I have that where their children are learning hurdy-gurdy, like the parents either know music or like one is a really good bagpipe player, so they can play duets. And that's another thing is that, you know, when kids are really young, you know, it's going to take a while for them to learn anything, even like a small little tune. But you can kind of talk to them about, okay, here's your exercises, here's your little tunes, but you can just go like Andre Vinograd on the thing, like, you know, just do whatever you want, and then, you know, like with your parent, they can play something else along with you, and then it's like it's the freedom of just messing around with the instrument and going wild, and in moments they can kind of discover, oh, I can bend a note, or I can do something really silly or whatever, and then they can like take that to me, you know, at the next lesson where they say, oh, I learned, you know, something like I was doing this thing. And it's funny what can come out of well, as you know, Jaap, you've got kids too. It's funny what can come out of a 6-year-old every once in a while. Learn lots of interesting things, but it's just great to be able to have an instrument that they can control. And I think that that's the important point. So
amazing,
awesome.
Guys.
And in that, like, what are your plans? Because now you've got all this spare time to have your brain
time.
All these new things, like, you know, 5-10 years from now, where do you kind of see a lot of your ideas developing, or
near the spaceship, perhaps? Oh
boy.
I have a few things on the way, of course, but 10 years.
It's a lot.
That's a long time. Well, so I especially hope that that at some point we can meet the demand.
Well, it's almost impossible, no? For now, yeah. It's
from two, and it only, I think we're making it. I still see it growing, both for us, but I think it's the same for other builders. We've made a lot of kits over the last few years, and we keep increasing our production to help everybody. But I think in general it's only just increasing the number of hurdy-gurdy players. And I've heard some of the initial builders, but maybe you know a lot better than me, who used to have a 2-year waiting list when I started, and now they don't have a waiting list at all anymore because it's gone so long that they've stopped taking orders.
Absolutely.
So I'm really curious where that's going to go, and what I hope to see is a future where hurdy-gurdy can be studied in a lot more places, at music schools where it's a lot easier to find a teacher, easy to get an instrument, and really that the whole instrument grows. That's what I hope to see. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, guys, it has been a very beautiful talk with you all. I don't know if Noel, do you have any last question for Jaap?
Yes.
Yes.
The other day, when we were talking, I was out pulling sap from trees to boil down for maple syrup, which is what we do in New Hampshire. You were making mead.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about where that comes from, and do you also sell that as that nerdy mead?
We meet and do a taste of mead with maple syrup, and so you guys bring it and I eat it. Okay, it's I drink it.
I think this is a great idea, Sergio.
Absolutely.
I will make you a kit. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll send you a pot of honey and an empty bottle.
And that's it. Amazing, amazing. So nerdy meat is on the go.
Yes, that's a great idea. I'll put it on the list.
Perfect. Okay, guys. So it has been a pleasure to talk to Jaap. Again, thank you, Noel, for coming. And this is the Hurdy Gurdy Cafe podcast. See you next time. Bon cranky.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.